Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you this morning? I hope things are going well, and if not, I hope the day gets better. So, one of the things that I had asked for, and it's always crazy, I asked to be completely split open. Like, I knew that I wanted to have a level of spirituality that I didn't have before. I knew I could see visions. I knew I could hear things, and yeah, at some point it probably switched over a little too much. Like, when it says, you don't want to be so spiritual that you're of no earthly good, it literally, you can literally move too far into this whole spiritual realm. Um, and it's crazy. And you'll end up finding that you, if you're not paying close enough attention, you'll be more in the spiritual realm than you are on the earthly plane. You are just, and sometimes you have to sit there and wonder which which plane you're in. I know you're like, well, that means you're just crazy. Well, yes and no. If you're looking at it from a completely just you have no clue about spirituality, then yes, 100% you're crazy, blah blah blah. That's fine. We'll take it and run with it. Who gives a shit? For those of you who have realized that there's more out there than what quote unquote normal people try to present to you, um, whether you have dreams or whatever, and you're beginning to figure it out, it can be very scary. But what I had wanted to do, I had wanted to remove a lot of the generational curses. If I couldn't get them all done this round of my reincarnation, then I wanted to get out so many of them, then, during the next reincarnation or whatever, or even just for my children, to stop a lot of this damn generational curses. Because no matter how much Black people, especially, try to act like being enslaved didn't do anything to the generations ahead, it actually has. And to sit there and deny that it has is just, to me, blasphemous. Like, you wouldn't have gangs and stuff like that if there wasn't a whole bunch of emotional pressures from the preceding people, from the preceding people, from the preceding people, from the preceding people. And even though you try to sit there and say, well, I made it and did it, yeah, but not everybody has a chance to do that. And although I sit there and say we don't have any excuse anymore, it is more working on learning how to love yourself so those generational curses can be ended. When you have done such a great job, like the lepers have, and knocking even down to the belief system, which is crazy to me. If you believe in any sort of spirituality other than Christianity, you're labeled a witch, which is why I say, you know what, then I just be that witch. I'll be that bitch. I'll be that witch. Anyway, I might as well just be that, because why am I looking at a book that you enslaved me with? And that's supposed to be, and you're highlighting something that I was enslaved with, my ancestors. And then for me to want to branch out and look at, and I'm not only looking at like the Orishas and stuff, I'm also looking at the Celtic side, because I can't deny the enslaver. I mean, I can't deny being enslaved. I can't deny the enslaver. I have huge amount of Irish and Scottish and English and all that stuff that is also in my DNA. So why am I going to deny that side? I'm going to actually incorporate both sides. because of the fact that they're in me. So, and with that, helping to clear also that generational curse of being not only the enslaved, but also being the enslaver, because both of those things are running simultaneously throughout my DNA. I think sometimes when Black people look, especially like the lighter skinned ones that know that it's not because they're interracial, it's because of slavery, like some a lot of us older generation, I think, when you're sitting there trying to do some sort of cleansing or spirituality or whatever, you got to look at both sides. You can't just look at one side when you're pulling from their erasures or whatever, and you're still like, well, why is something not? Go ahead and pick up a druid deck. Go ahead and pick up oracles from someone that's not Black. I mean, if you do like I did ancestry.com, but when some people did 23andMe or whatever, pull from what if you want to find out more about where your genes lie, go get a simple test done and then pull a deck from that area. You'd be surprised. And sometimes it's not my African side that when I'm pulling that tells me shit. It's actually the enslaver side, the slavery owner side that tells me stuff, which is actually pretty interesting. So when I asked for all the generational curses to be lifted, boy, and I knew I was going to go through it. I knew I was, because you can't ask a question like that, especially knowing the history of my family. You can't ask a question like that and not think that your ancestors are like, wait a minute, you're going to try to take on the burden of me? Here, let me give it to you. If that means that I'm going to get a chance to help clear my family, here, let me give you some more. And that weight and trying to not push it off, but understand it and love it. And then to love yourself on top of it takes a lot of work, spiritual work. So I would suggest that if you really are trying to do something like that, to be prepared. That saying that you want to get rid of generational curses ain't no joke. Because you end up having to go through a lot of what they went through in order to heal. I have one grandmother that I swear sometimes she's channeling through me. I have 5 kids, had 2 different fathers, and then got married and had the third set. She had the first set of twins, got married, had a few others, and then had a child out of wedlock for this other dude while she was still married. Same thing, different scenario. Went through embarrassment, stuff that went through her life. People gave her hell. Same thing, different scenario. And I look at her, my father, can't stand her. I have problems with my parents. I mean, it's like boom, 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 boom. And the feeling of not being loved and all that stuff. I know she went through it. But I said I would take it on. And it was a lot. Talk about generational. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My father's an alcoholic. I mean, it's those tendencies. I can hold my liquor if I really want to, but I also know that that's comes from that line. That's a trigger. So I try not to do it very often. I limit. I'm like, all right, Heather, if you're going out somewhere, you can only have 3 drinks, or you can, and that's it. And then like I'll go months. Like I haven't touched anything. It must be like a month or maybe a month, 2 months, whatever. Sometimes I'll go 2 to 3 years, and I just won't even have the urge. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't want any. And then like I'll go through something. I'm like, give me a bottle. and then I'm like, and then I'll sit there and I'm like, okay. And I'll put a parameter. I'm like, all right, Heather, you got till this amount of time. And then I say, okay, this is my last day, and that's it, and I'm done. And I'll go a year or two and just don't even be bothered. But for those of you who are going through a cycle rather than circling, be prepared if this is what you really want to do. Okay? This is a lot of work. This is not fun. There's no correct way. If there was, we'd all do it with success every time. There's no wrong way to do this. It's exploration. Oh, I wrote these down to help you. Exploration for what fits you is key. It might be a combination. You might need to do meditation and yoga. Or for some of you, like that's not my thing. I like to walk and do things. Oh my goodness, there go the phone. Sorry. I like to walk and talk. Like I talk my shit out. Maybe you need to find a quiet area and walk and talk. What is your actual goal or intention? Mine was to get rid of these generational curses. What is below the surface of what you're truly looking for? Not everyone is looking for fame and fortune, right? So my thing was just being at peace. Some people may say, you know what, I really am trying to get a little fame or a little fortune or whatever. What's wrong with that? But I need to get through this spiritual curse that I seem to be going through first, right? Once you write down your first thoughts, write it again to go underneath the surface, then write it again to get under that surface, then write it again. Like I say, some people need to write it out. They write out what the feelings are, then they write it out again, and they write it out again, and you write it out again. Some people like me who think out loud, I can't tell you how many times I'd be in the park walking and talking, working something out, working something out, working something out. And then finally getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I can forgive this person because I've gone through every possible emotion that I have, the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the bitterness, the this, the that. And now I can just go ahead and forgive them, right? Check your emotions and your stress levels. That's what drives it. So if you're scared, it'll show up in your results. You have high emotion, etc. Take it from one who knows. If you start, you might on the surface be like, oh, I'm fine. And then you find out, no, you're not fine. And then you find out, no, I'm really not fine. And then you find out, oh shit, I'm really not fine. And your stress levels start spiking, and you're starting to have anxiety, and you're like, what the hell? Sorry, they might bark for a second. So what would happen for me when I first started is my candles would break. I'd be in the middle of setting an intention for something. I'd light a candle and the candle would break. Yeah, it'd like pop, it'd break. I'd put it in a container, one that says that it's fire resistant or whatever, pop, it'd break. I remember going to a place and buy crystals, and they were good quality crystals, and I'd say, I don't understand. This keeps happening, that keeps happening. I put them in these containers, they break. And she's like, the problem with you is you have too much energy. Use some of these crystals and see, you put your energy into the crystal, surround the candle, and that'll help. Boom. They'd I'd look, they'd have little crack marks in them. Oh, I finally ended up having to get the pyramid ones. Those are the ones, because they're so much thicker, that it would help. So you want to make sure that you also clear your energy. Okay. A lot of times, you could use salt water to cleanse your crystals. You can use incense. I mean, a lot of this stuff is redundant. You can use crystals. Incense to clear your crystals. You can put them out on a full moon, a new moon, whatever. Let them sit overnight. Your tarot cards, you can do the same. Any of those things will work. I find that if I'm pulling, and which would be so interesting, sometimes I'll start pulling and I'm like, I already know what's about to come out. And I'll say it out loud or whatever, and then boom, 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 and all the cards that I can see are starting to come out. And then I'm like, okay, I can tell when it's me rather than source. And I'll even sit there and say, I pulled that card. Even though the cards are face down, I can't see. I don't have them marked or anything crazy. When you start doing it, so like you get into a rhythm, you can even tell when it's you doing it or whether it's spirit that's guiding the card reading. Sometimes when a few of them fall out, some people are like, oh, you should read them. Sometimes I'm like, no, I can feel that was me. Like I'm wanting certain cards to come out, and so I'm forcing them without realizing that I'm doing it to pull. Sometimes you need to put them under the moon. Sometimes it don't even have to be a full or a new moon. Sometimes I just put that thing out there. If I'm noticing certain things are popping up and I'm like, that doesn't seem like it's correlating. And I know, yes, that means sometimes it means it hasn't happened yet. But when you start doing this for a while, sometimes like, there's an energy around these cards that I need to clear. Let me put them out for tonight and see what happens the next day. And a good amount of time when that happens, the cards actually, quote unquote, feel lighter. And when I pull, I'm like, okay, let me see what's really going on now, as opposed to might be even my energy weighing it down. So some people believe in like fasting and doing all that stuff. But you know what's interesting? Okay, so I'm at a different point in my life right now. So it was a time when I was like getting really anxious and going through all this stuff. Didn't realize that the fire was about to happen to the house. Like, I mean, just the energy and the fear. And it was like this anxiety that was coming and I couldn't figure it out. Like before, and people would tell you that before it would even happen, like I was getting physically sick. And they were like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. My stomach's really hurting me. And right before something happened with my kids, it started. And then before the fire, I got really sick and I couldn't figure it out. Your body will start to tell you. Sometimes you don't need the cards, but I was buying from this particular place. I was buying candles from this particular place. And yeah, they were to a certain extent. But what I found is this. When I was doing it, this is like in retrospect, when I was doing it on my own, just picking up candles from aka Walmart or a different store, spiritual store. The energy I know that I put into it gave me certain results. When I bought from this store, yeah, I got results, but I also got a lot of things with it. So I stopped touching them for a while. I stopped touching anything for a while. Someone was like, "Oh, Heather, because you went, instead of going to this way, you went towards the darkness and did." That's not what it was. I lost confidence, in which I didn't realize that was happening. I saw the glitz and the glamour of these candles and the person that was doing it, and supposedly there was all these results, and I put my energy outward instead of pulling the energy inward. I knew what I was doing. Spirit was guiding me the whole entire time. But I didn't allow the communication that I was having with Spirit. I figured because this person was all over the internet and they had all these followers and all this other stuff, that they would get me better results than if I did it myself. And I started watching, like, you had to do it on certain days, and you had to have all these bright big candles and all the roses and stuff everywhere and all this stuff. And you know what? When I was first starting to do this stuff, it was me and a candle. I had no clue as to what day I was supposed to do it on, what moon cycle, what hour, none of that stuff. And my greatest achievements happened when it was just me and Spirit. It wasn't the Heather, you had to do it on a Tuesday at this time in the morning and all this crazy ritual that happened. It was just me and Spirit, and me being genuine with Spirit and just saying, hey, this is where I am right now. Where am I going with this? How am I doing this? And all that stuff. So I hadn't touched any type of candle, and then listening to people. I hadn't touched a candle in it was like 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years. Didn't touch it. And then I finally said, you know what, Heather, why are you walking away from something that you truly love? Just to do what? And I went back to it. And I started to feel me again. Not that all over the place girl. Just me. And the confidence that I had before and who I was. And what I can tell people is this: you have a connection with Spirit. Just like if you were to read your Cliff Notes, you have that conversation with your divine creator. Yeah, sometimes you need an intermediary, an intercessor, but you have that conversation with your ancestors, your spirit guides, your guardian angels. When you have that conversation, you'd be surprised where you're going. When I bought my house and all that stuff, it wasn't with all these fancy schmancy candles and doing all this craziness. It was me and I think it was a $5 or $10 candle. And I had put either some holy water or some frankincense and myrrh or whatever was available at the time. And I did it in the night, and that was it. I didn't have all these spectacular things. And then, like I said, I ended up using the pyramid crystals for me, and that's what worked. It wasn't anything extra. So some of you, oh, listen, and then you can hear some stuff in the background, so I'll make it short. So some of you, instead of looking outside, look within. Be careful when you ask spirit to clear the generational curses unless you're really ready. Because my back is strong, but boy, did it make me bend. It made me bend. But I can say that it was worth it for me. It made me realize that I can't listen to people like I used to. Not like when I'd be insecure and be like, why is this? And they'd be like, but Heather, and it's because you're burning. No, it's not because I'm burning candles. It's because when I was burning candles, I had connection with spirit. But then I gave up my connection thinking that I needed an intercessor when I didn't need an intercessor because I already established that covenant with my divine creator. I don't need anybody else. I just need me. And if I want to learn something, then I'll go and learn something. But what is inside of me is between me and my divine creator. You call it Allah, you call it God, you call it Buddha, whatever you want to call it. You could call it Friday for all I care. But that's the most important thing. And no matter how many times you listen to these fucking elites and, it's got to be this megahertz and no, when I tell you at the end of the day, it is just you and your creator, and that's it. It's so fucking simple. It really is. And all these emotions that keep springing up and springing up, there's a reason why they spring up. And even if you shit, I don't give a fuck. Even if you do something dumb on the internet while you're going through it, then fuck it. You did something dumb on the internet while you're going through it. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's letting you know that those areas need to be worked on. Oh well. So what? Right? Right. You just move forward. And if it means that through it, you had to find out who was on your side and who wasn't, then guess what? Leave them motherfuckers alone because they weren't worth your time to begin with anyway. You don't think it at the time. You're like, oh my God, I lost my friends and da da da. Nah, bro, you gained you. Even if you're the one at fault, guess what? You still gained you because you now learned and you move forward. And then when you look back, you're kind of like, you know what? They weren't really worth it anyway. And then you find out that they were jealous or whatever. And you just sit there and you're like, I would never have done that. But if that's what they needed to do to make themselves happy, then that's what they needed to do. So, yes, growing in spirituality, it is not for the weak. I don't care how they keep trying to make it look like all pretty and cute. It is not for the weak at heart. If you are not willing to get what the Bible says, be pruned and go through fire like a motherfucker, don't even do it. Just stick with your little baths with your little flowers in it and your little books and being all cute and nah. Going through it, when you really want to go through it, sometimes you'll be ready to pull your fucking hair out. What? Because it gets thrown at you. You will be like Job and lose everything. Everything. Sometimes. If you're doing it in the direction that you're supposed to be doing it, sometimes you will lose everything. And then you're like, fuck, okay. I know that pendulum swinging back, so I just gotta work on me until then, and that's it. But I'm not gonna compromise myself. So anyway, all right, you good? You're like, I don't think I'm ever gonna do it, Heather. Well, then don't do it. Don't do it. All right. So hopefully the leprechauns will shit some gold into a duffel bag for you so you can take it to the pawn shop. May pink and purple clouds hover over your day. May there be a rainbow that guides you, and may the unicorns kneel at your feet as you walk by. If you're having a bad day, I hope it gets better for you. Have a good one.